what the backend is. They're going to update multiple databases, and all the logic will be in the AI tier, so to speak. And once the AI tier becomes the place where all the logic is, then people start replacing the backends, right? That's what, in fact, it's interesting.
Yeah, so this comment made by Satya around like 5 months ago in a like podcast called BG2. So then it shocked the whole industry, like what this guy is talking. So basically, in simple terms, it's like AI agents going to be replace most of the application as the frontier. So we are going to communicate with agents instead of like we are communicating with the APIs or other interfaces. So agent will decide where to go, what to bring to answer the question. So, but one simple thing is missing to achieve this whole concept, because right now still not the agent to agent communication is still not standardized. So we, like as an organization, I can create my own agents, I can define my own methods, I can define how I interact with. So it's only for me. Then another organization can create the same way with a different technology in a different way. So there's no standardized way for us to communicate within these agents to handle the functions and all those things. So that's where what we're going to discuss about today is the A to A, agent to agent protocol. So how we can standardize this concept so any organization can publish their agents, so any other outside organization can communicate with that agent to get the information. Good part is I don't need to expose my company tool set or how I actually generate that data set. I don't need to do that. Okay, so this one actually gives us a AI interoperability. Means like, let's say like the same company cannot create all the agents. So because there's a domain expert in different organization, expert in different things. So definitely we have to connect with each other to have a good agentic ecosystem. So like here, like this agent system are like becoming foundation, and like we cannot build everything together. So we need like more innovation and collaboration to build a like good ecosystem, like AI ecosystem. But for that we need standards. So now we are going to go with kind of 8 sections specified in this A2A protocol. So this is like open standard and built by Google, but collaborate with all the things, and Microsoft and everyone adapted this one already. Like if you see, some organization already made the announcement saying like we are complying with A2A protocol. So A2A protocol is an open standard, and regardless of their underlying technology. So that means you can build your AI agents in any technology, and you can make it publicly available. If I put this whole concept into a like picture, it looks like this. So let's say like this agent A built by a different organization, agent B from another organization. Earlier in the presentation checkpoint, you see like MCP how it works. So MCP can create a server to get the enterprise related data set, tools, APIs and everything, and enrich the agent. But again, let's say like you want to get another information system from different organization, and they also have an agent. So then we need that A to A communication. So this is the simple representation of A to A protocol. Okay, this protocol has around like 8-9 sections, but this is the core concept. So I'll explain one by one. Then I deep dive into each segment to explain how it works. So this is the fundamental. So after you know this one, you can basically go and build a kind of SDK for your organization. Or we already have SDKs you can download, and you can start working on that. So A to A specification, there are 2 sides. One is A to A client. A to A client is basically the agent or applications who trying to make a connection with another AI agent. So A2A server is the remote one who actually exposes endpoint to communicate through a agent card. So here, most important thing is the agent card. Agent card is the agent's digital identity. In that identity, you mention all the name, what is its capabilities, skills, and what is the endpoint you are going to use to communicate with client and the server. Then agent server, normally any request you made, let's say like, okay, write a document for me. So if it's a long running task, so it creates a task object inside the server and assign a task ID. So then it can perform this long running task. Then the context is to manage the context, normal context, and the extension, if you have more than that from your normal core concept, you can use the extension method to expose those new capabilities. Then, when you communicate each other, there's a four part. One is like message, artifact. Message is normal message you communicate with the client and the server. Then the artifact is the content is going to generate from the server. Then SSC means like server sent events. So if you see the chat GPT, so when you ask something, it actually type. So we call it like server sent event. So let's say like you need a response from that server agent at the same time, it's going to be a message. But let's say you ask long running task and you need the increment update, then you can use this server sent events. Then let's say like it takes longer than that, let's say like 1 day, 2 days. So then you can use push notification. So you say, hey, run this task and I'm waiting for push notification and this is my URL. Once done, send me a message to this URL, something like that. So this is the core concepts and the core words we are going to discuss throughout this A2A protocol. This protocol basically built on the standard web protocols, HTTP and everything. So everyone trying to reuse exactly the same standards we already have, and then on top of that, to build this protocol to communicate between agents. So everything must be in HTTPS. Communication should happen in HTTPS, and importantly, this agent card is a JSON metadata document. Later I'll show you. So here you should mention any agent, any application going to discover this agent, how I can communicate with that agent. So it's in the agent card. Then next thing is it must adhere to JSON RPC 2.0. JSON RPC is a remote procedure code. It's a bit different from normal JSON requests and the response we are passing. So before I move to other section, I'll just explain a bit about RPC because it's a bit different. It's easy to understand when we compare against the REST API right now what we are using to interact with the client and server. So JSON RPC, the protocol is like remote procedure code, but other side is the resource-based HTTP. And URL structure for JSON RPC we can use one URL to get anything. But REST API you can say like /order, /item, /location. So according to that URL structure, it gives me the data. Then verb, we are using post for RPC, but REST API we have get, post, delete, put, all these methods. Then protocol, basically, then method. In RPC call, this is the parameter we define all the methods we want to invoke. But REST API, we basically say it's in the URL structure. So item /number. So then we know like it goes to item function. Order /number, something like that. It goes to that function. Then backend and the notification, normally backend, because some agent tasks may take long time. So that's why we need this kind of different protocol to run this one. So then if you think about request and the response, payload like this. So you should adhere to this payload structure. You cannot send your own JSON structure, you should send in this JSON structure. In the JSON RPC request, you should mention JSON RPC 2.0. Then the method. This is where you mention which method to invoke. Later I'll explain you what are the available methods in this specification. Then the params is the parameters, your message basically, what you are going to say. Then ID should mention there. Then when it comes from the server, the response is again they put the JSON RPC, and if it's success request, they put result and then whatever the success object sent from the server. But if there's an error, instead of result, you get the error object with the code and the error. So it's not both present in the same time, it's either one of them present according to the status of that code. Then you have the ID. Okay, so that is about the JSON RPC. So when first time it established the connection between one agent or one application to the other agent, it goes through like 5-6 phases. First is discovery. Discovery is nothing but just like, let's say like my application looking for something. Okay, let's say like I want to find a like supplier for, later I'll show like demo in like kind of cafe situation. So let's say like my cafe is looking for coffee supply. So let's say I scan the internet and I found the agent card and it actually going to fulfill my request. So then I discovered, and from that agent card I can retrieve the endpoint. Then I can start the communication. So after I discover, initiation is like I start the communication. Then according to my request, it will process and send me other data. Then there's another two phases, interaction. That means let's say like my client application or agent asks something, then server cannot perform anything. You need like more information. Like I asked like, okay, tell me the weather. Okay, but I didn't mention the location. So that agent needs the location information. So he's like that agent going to stop the task and move that state into a different state keyword and send the message back asking which location you want the weather. So then I can respond back. That's why it's a like interaction. So the communication happens in between. Completion is like basically you done you complete the task, complete the whole thing. Yeah. So then that is how the communication happens. Now how the authentication and authorization happen? Basically, as normal HTTP or web security, it should follow the same thing. So servers like client should make sure like it requests from data from the same like correct server. Then the server should authenticate all the incoming requests coming from client. So this always goes with the standard web security protocols because this one built on top of that. Then if say like if the server challenge, then it should respond back with the standard protocol like 401 or 403. All the standard should use when messaging back to the client. And then basically like you can use the relevant headers and all those things. So that's what it means. But again, it has 3 phases. One is like discover authentication, credential acquisition and credential transmission. So this discover authentication means in the agent card we should mention what is the authentication method anyone outside that agent can communicate or like use. So there we can say it's an API key or bearer token or something like that we can mention there. So when I am outside that agent, when I check the agent card, I know, oh, this guy requires API key. So then I go to my servers or wherever it's and I get the credential. But this credential acquisition part is not the A2A protocol, it's like outside thing. So you have to decide like how you go to your keyboard or what, wherever place and grab the credential. And you are not going to pass this credential through that payload, JSON payload, okay? So you should use the same HTTP standard, like you either use headers or some mechanism to send it securely. So recommendation is never send any secrets or any client data, secret values through the payload. Then that is the last part, credential transmission. But let's say your agent server has an MCP server like before to access some tools. This one of that tool, okay, for example, let's say like checkpoint. Checkpoint require another API key to perform that thing. So that means it requires like secondary credential. So in that case, agent stop this task and let the client know, hey, I cannot perform this task, so I need authentication. There's some authentication required to do this task, so please provide that one. So what happens is this whole task going to auth required and stop there, and after client provide that data, it start execution. So that's what it about secondary credential. So agent speak to server but cannot access, so asking back the, hey, I need this data to process. Okay, that is the basic authentication part. So let's move to agent card. So this is the very important part. This agent card JSON structure should be there in the well-known directory. So there's a specification called well-known directory. So you can put all those things there, so it can discover by the crawlers or like public internet. Then if there's any sensitive information in this agent card, you have to protect it by normal HTTP like the security protocols, like you can restrict the network access or restrict the IP range. Likewise, you have to restrict those things. So there are three types of like discovery phases in this application agent card. One is well-known URI, so you can put that JSON document there, or registries or catalog. Right now, there's no agent catalog or registry, so you cannot, like, for example, if you want Docker, you go to Docker Hub and you can find a lot of Docker images and you can download, right? But agents we don't have now. But this registry and catalog means that. So one day, like near future, we will have a registry. So you go and you can search who are the agents doing this skill or who can perform these skills. So I can get that one and I can retrieve I can use that agent for my applications. Then the direct configuration, basically like you are going to hard code, especially in like development phases, you can hard code the agent card and do the communication. So let me show you how it looks like. So agent card looks like this. You see, it's just like a JSON structure, nothing much. So you just say like this is the name of the agent, then description, then this is the most important. This is how anyone outside your territory can communicate with this agent. So these are like just normal things like a provider who will that part. Then this is where they define the authentication. So what kind of authentication they support, like whether it's OpenID Connect or basic or so. Then as a client I got to know like, oh, this is OpenID Connect, so I have to connect through that mechanism. Then how the input and the output should pass each other, whether it's a text plain or like application JSON. Then we define the capabilities. So right now we have streaming. If you enable streaming, that means it is support for server sent events. If you say push notification, it supports push notification. And state transition means like your task change from this state to other state, so it goes to this one. And if you have like more than that, you can define here as an extension. So then this is the most important thing. This is the skills your agent can support. So when discovery, when I looking for agents, so normally I go and look what are the skills it support. So here you should mention all the skills your agent can support. So here like it's like luxury coffee supply, so how it supply, and give some examples. So my LLM or like my agent, my application know how to ask question from that agent basically. So then we have a few skills like this. So if I show you how it looks like, like let's say registry. We don't have registry yet, but this is like kind of validation tool. But it looks like this. You see like agent information like this. So this is maybe future. We will see something like this. So who is the provider? What are the capability? What is the output method? And what is the skill? So if you are looking for this kind of agent, you can dynamically request this agent card and you can interact with that agent without any issue. So you don't need to know like what are the underlying technology. You don't need to know how they build that one, how many inputs they are talking to behind the scenes. So you don't need to know. You only need to know what are the skills performed by this agent card. Okay, so that's all about agent card. Then we have some data object. That means how the tasks work. When tasks work, we have a few status. So submitted working means like you ask for something, then it's submitted, but it's not started anything. Working means it started on the task. Then input required, all the required means like that task pause and ask some input from the client application. Then we have a terminal task like completed, failed, cancel and registers. Like no need to explain, right? So these are like the terminal tasks. Basically, your task is stopped at that point. Then, as I mentioned earlier, we have message. That's how we communicate. Then we have artifacts. That's the A to A or the agents generate. Both sides we have this part, text part, data part, and file part. That is how we are going to send the data to the server and communicate with each other. Text part is like text. Data part is like structured object, data object, like JSON object. File part is file. Yeah, that is how. So normally, like if you think about OpenAI, how you communicate is like you say like role is this, and the content is like this, right? That's how you communicate. So here also you say like we have two roles in this protocol. One is user, other role is agent. So that is the two roles we have, and then we define okay. I have a text part, and this is the text. Let me show you quickly how it looks like. First, I'll show the task. So task is like this. So you have ID, context ID, and the status, where you mention the status of like submitted, working, failed, those kind of thing. These are the enums we have right now for this protocol. Then let's say like the messages. If you go to messages, I'm just showing you like the technical interface for this one. So you have to exactly do the same thing when you build your SDK or when you are using SDK. So if you go to the message, this is the message object. So it could be a user or agent as the role. Then we have the part. Part means the text, data or file part. Then we can put like we can add more values. But again, text part. If you use text part, you say like it's a text and you put your text. If you say it's a file part, we have two variations: file with bytes and the URI. So you can say it's a file and you can either put bytes or you can use the URL. Then you have data part. So basically data you give the JSON object structure. Then artifact is the same like generated by the A2A server. So it has the artifact ID and it again release the generated content through the parts, exactly same parts I explained with the message. Okay. Then I mentioned you about the methods. When I explained the JSON RPC, so we need like few methods. So we have a few methods. Message send means like the normal way of communication. Message stream means in your agent card, if you define capability as streaming through, then you can use message stream method to start the stream. Then if you have long running task, you can use task get, task cancel, and task resubscribe. For example, let's say like it's a long running task, so server actually responds saying like, okay, I started and this is task ID. Let's say after some time you are going to call and ask like what happened to this task. So that is why we have this task get and task cancel. You can basically cancel that task and subscribe. Basically, if you are looking if you are communicating the server sent events and somehow you got disconnected, you can use task resubscribe to start that communication back. Then push notification, you can set the configuration and get the configuration. And authenticated external card, like if there's more extended authentication required to establish the connection and do the application programming thing, so you can use this method. So these are the 5-6 methods we have right now. Okay, so these are the error codes. So JSON RPC, it has its own error codes, and A2A protocol basically added few more. 32,001 task not found. That means like you are asking for the task, maybe task completed already, or that task is not there. So, or maybe like task cannot be cancelled, so it's already done or something happened. Then the push notification not supported, something like that. They already defined few, but you can use this 32,000 range basically and more server related error code for your application. Okay, so with this one, so these are the basically 8-9 sections we have in the A2A specification. So we start with how the communication works, we then move to the authentication, then we move to the agent card, then how the data objects looks like, message and those things, and then we actually discuss this error handling part. So let me show you like very simple demo. First one, like I have this cafe, I just created a cafe. I haven't used any SDK here. I just trying to understand the protocol and try to create something similar. But we already have a Python SDK and JavaScript SDK, so you can download. Later I'll show you some samples on that. So this is a small cafe. So I have a cafe manager. The main application is the cafe manager. And I have two suppliers, coffee supplier and the cookie supplier. So I don't have agent card, so I have the stock with my cafe. So let's say so these are the three terminals you see. So this is a cookie agent. So it started already. There's an agent, and the copy supply also started. But here I'm using the third directly integration method. So I don't have like dynamically go and search and find the agent card. So but I commented here. So if I run this one. So what happens is it's like simulate like kind of random coffee and cookie asking, but then LLM decide whether we need to refill the stock. So give it a few seconds. So then somewhere LLM decide and it try to communicate, but then it realized that supply is not available, so it's stopped there. Oh, okay. If you see, right, LLM decide to request supply 390 grams, but no supply available. So because it cannot find any agent card or anything which can give the coffee the cafe manager needs. So because there's no agent to get that request. But let's say now let me stop this one. I clear this one. Then let me put this coffee supply and the cookie supply. So if you see, like even it's running these two supplies, the agents, it's nothing happened here. So I uncomment, Control S. So let me run again this one. So if you see now LLM decide, so coffee supplier receives the message, it can perform all the things. So this could be like task taking a few hours to process, but again cafe manager can request to the task get to understand what is the status of this task and do the necessary processing for this one. So let's say like this supply is not available, so I found another supply agent. So what I have to do in this scenario, I just copy that URL, agent URL, and I put in my array here. So then LLM according to the skills in that agent card, it will decide whether which supply, coffee supply it's going to use. So, and this is the simple, but this is like kind of a terminal demo, but later point you can see like a more UI related thing. Okay, so from here, again, as I told you, like this is very new protocol coming into the picture. So it's only like 2-3 months, but all the major companies and everyone started to contribute to this one. So you can find all the information in A2A protocol.ai URL. You can read all the specification, blogs, and what is happening there. Then for development, we have available most active one is Python SDK. JS JavaScript SDK also there, but I think still they are working on that one. And we will get Go, Java, .NET, all the SDKs for this purpose. So what happened here, for example, because now you know the specification, so if I just show something, so if you see like this is a A2A like official sample, so you can see if you go to Python and under agents, if I select AutoGen, so AutoGen is like framework you can build agents. So this all this, if you see here, AutoGen, AG, then the Google, the LangGraph, everyone support this one, Semantica from .NET side. So if I say like, if I go here, it's nothing but the same specification I explained to you. So this SDKs make your life easier, so you don't need to worry about all the task handling and everything. So you can just add the ID, skills and everything, then it will auto-generate the agent card for you, and it start the A2A server, push notification and everything. So it will deal all the behind the scenes things with you. Okay, so then we have a protocol validator. Basically the same thing I showed you here. So if it's deployed in the server, you can put the server here and you can click fetch agent. So if it's a valid agent card, it will fetch and show the information here like this, if it's a valid agent card. Then the last one, like I showed you, A2A sample, you can download from the Google A2A GitHub repository for everything. Yeah. That's all about A2A specification. So it's a very new one. So everyone try to collaborate that one, because we need something where everyone be kind of some standard, because otherwise the problem is like you develop something, other organization develop something, so we have to cater all these different scenarios. It's going to be difficult. So we need something like that. For example, like Word, we have OpenXML, if I remember. So if you generate Word file from Microsoft Word, can open in the Google. Likewise, because there's a like around 6,000 pages long document for that one, how all the things works. So likewise, we need this one. Yeah, so do you have any questions? Happy to answer, maybe 1 minute. Then we jump into the next. Yeah. No questions, so we can connect with the LinkedIn, or like, and please help with some feedback so I can improve my side as well.
Yay, my turn.
Yeah. Okay, thank you everyone. I'm around here, so you can answer the question.
Another round of applause for Alok, guys. Come on. Sorry. Alok.
Alok is the next.
Okay. Sorry, guys. How's everybody? Thank you
choosing to spend your Thursday